How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is AdRock, and I'm back with another Freelancer breakdown for Atlas Reactor's Juno. Juno is a firepower's worst nightmare and puts everybody to shame because ain't nobody going past the Omni Head security, her sass, her smile, and her ginormous, huge, just amazing cannons. Exact cannons. Yep. Those things look dangerous. Whew. What Juno doesn't have in direct burst damage, she'll more than make up for in crowd control and survivability among the long-range firepower freelancers. While you still don't want to go Rambo on your own, you aren't a wilty flower. So she should be a definite option for players on small to medium-sized maps or more open maps, or for teams that are lacking crowd control. So let's move on to her abilities. Juno's first ability is Laser Barrage, a blast phase, no cooldown ability that fires 2 laser beam barrages from each cannon. You'll either take damage if you're hit by one of the cannons, or you'll take additional damage if the enemy is hit by both laser cannons. You gain 6 energy per enemy hit. Modifications include Concentrated Fire. Enemies hit by overlapping barrages take additional damage. Minigun Mayhem. Enemies hit with 1 barrage will take additional damage. Fire at Will, which will increase the size of the barrages. And Spinning Up. Using the laser barrage increases the energy gain of the next laser barrage. Juno's second ability is Lockdown. It is a prep phase 3-turn cooldown ability that tethers the target to a position for their turn. If they move further away than the tether allows, they'll take indirect damage. You gain 12 energy if the damage is dealt. Modifications include Watch Your Step, which will increase the damage by each square traveled, Maximum Security, which will reduce the cooldown if Lockdown does not trigger, Floodlights, which will reveal the target until the end of the next decision mode, and Stockades. If Lockdown triggers, the target is scrambled the next turn. Juno's third ability is Off Limits. It's a blast phase 4-turn cooldown ability that creates a shockwave that deals direct damage and knocks back enemies. You gain 8 energy per enemy hit. Modifications include Knockout, which will increase the distance of the knockback, Showstopper, which increases the size of the arc, Seeing Stars, which will slow adjacent enemies for the next turn, and Shockwave, which increases the damage of off-limits. Juno's fourth ability is Riot Shield. It's a free action, prep phase, 3-turn cooldown ability that creates an electrical barrier around Juno generating shields. You'll gain 5 energy on use. Modifications include Hold the Line, which will gain additional shields if it's used during Lay Down the Law, Shield Battery, which lasts until the end of the next turn, Reboot, which will reduce the cooldown if the shield takes no damage, and Overcharge. You'll gain energy per damage that the shield absorbs. Finally, Juno's ultimate is Lay Down the Law. It's a blast phase 2-turn cooldown ability that anchors Juno to the ground and unleashes a superheated beam that goes in a direction. If you pass through the beam, you take indirect damage. If you're hit by the beam directly, you'll get direct damage. You can then use subsequent turns to sweep the beam that'll hit enemies. And while you cannot move, you are unstoppable. You do need at least 50 energy to use the ability, and each sweep will cost 20 energy. Modifications include Dancing Shoes. You'll gain haste once you de-anchor. High Intensity, which will deal extra damage to nearby targets but will fade off as they are further away. Indiscriminate Destruction, which will increase the size of the sweep. Heating Up, which increases the damage each turn you're anchored, but caps out. And Efficient Extermination, which will reduce the initial energy cost. Juno's Laser Barrage is a little more unorthodox primary compared to her peers, but the wide range of coverage means Juno's hard to get away from, and doubly so if you're left alone with her. Concentrated Fire as a default mod isn't bad. It encourages grouping together, which is great with teams that can corral your enemies or displace them right where you want them to. And Minigun Mayhem will emphasize a little more AoE approach for the coverage, and at one mod point, it's not bad if you want to splurge elsewhere. Fire at Will feel more like it should have been a default, and it gives a little bit more safety net to players. And while I know it covers more ground, I feel it's not as beneficial as the others. And Spinning Up is great if you know you can keep your distance. You don't have to worry too much about jumping with teams, or you just need to burst down between cooldowns to get that ult faster. Lockdown is one of Juno's signature moves, and it's a great skill that can instantly put mobile freelancers on edge. If you can predict their jumps or the enemy is super predictable themselves, this prep phase move makes an initiator like Ras or Titus think twice, and freelancers like Lockwood crap their pants. Watch Your Step is hilarious on large jumpers like Gremlins Inc. or Lockwood, and it's actually a really great default. Maximum security is 1 point and reduced cooldown is great for mind games. Enemies will often try and bait out moves like lockdown, and they think they're scot-free until they come out next turn early and then messes up their whole game. And yes, after a lot of past conversations from past Freelancer breakdown videos from other channels, the reveal is actually really pivotal, although still not my bread and butter when I play. Floodlights synergizes really well with lockdown. Since most freelancers will try and dash into camo tiles or the fog of war to escape you, this will completely negate that escape plan. Stockade Scramble is super useful if you know that the enemy is repositioning to unleash an ultimate like Pup or Titus. It's another great mind games game to them because they think, oh, well, I'll just take the damage and whatnot, but no, I can't actually use what I want to do. Off limits, while a tad unwieldy, Juno's not much for subtlety or finesse. Useful, mostly for self-peeling, but, if you're close enough to somebody else, like say Quark or Aurora, and you're kind of backline with them, it can help peel them, but really it's too short to do much else, and they get people off your own back. Knockout's great because it actually will lengthen to get the keep away you have. That's okay, I mean, you got, Phaedra, keep her away a little longer, no big deal. Showstopper is cool if you're up against a melee-heavy team comp or love being the center of attention and want to get the most out of it. It's the most niche of her mod for this one, though. Sing Stars is my personal favorite, especially over Knockout. While yeah, it's nice to get the extra distance in Knockout, Sing Stars will actually carry over to the next turn, meaning the enemy has less viable options if they want to either go on you and stick to you, they'll have to burn a Catalyst or a dash, or simply just have to retreat and come back at another angle. Shockwave's meh. Off limits isn't really known for its damage, so I guess if you got a point open, Riot Shield has a very obvious combo with Juno's ultimate since it's also a free action. It does mean you can use that free action as an O shift button if the enemy gets too close. A 3-turn cooldown is not terribly bad. It can kind of keep you alive, and if you are able to plan it out quite nicely, you can actually use it multiple times in a match, especially where you need it the most. Hold the Line will definitely reinforce the, oh, I should combo this playstyle, since the ultimate does leave you wide open. Shield battery is fine, but for 40 shield for 2 turns, it's nothing that a heavy damage team will even scoff at. They'll still burst right through it. But it will make life hell for tankier or utility-focused teams. Reboot will have its uses, and while some teams forget, especially in solo queue, to kill confirm, something you should always do in Atlas Reactor, at least I feel if you have the ability to, and if no one else near you, instead of repositioning yourself and all that kind of fun stuff, you might be able to, escape, and Reboot will be able to be useful for another turn. Overcharge is really only useful if you know you're going to go and use Riot Shield more offensively, or you know you're going to get yourself into bad positions more often. Lay Down the Law is really a head scratcher at first, because if you're a long range freelancer, you don't want to move, and you can use it faster than other ults, but not to its full duration, and what? I don't get it. Okay, wait, don't freak out. Its zoning potential, its relative speed, and long range make it really scary, especially against certain team comp and on certain maps. Dancing Shoes is ideal if you know you need to reposition after every use. It really also kind of quasi-acts as a gap closer or an escape, but really it only is useful in that position, so don't rely on that. High Intensity will work great versus melee, and while Indiscriminate Destruction can hunt down the straight runner if they want to get away. Heating Up is my personal mod of choice. I like getting that whole 3-turn ultimate blast, and sitting down and hunkering down and going, come at me, bro! And while the initial damage is kind of moderate and decent, a team with CC that can help keep your enemies close with your sweeps, or teams that can't get out of your sweeps fast enough, ooh, they're gonna burn by turn 3. An efficient extermination will help pop the ultimate faster, and while it's not my style, it's really good to learn Juno and how her ult works and catch people off guard. If you're gonna run catalysts, I suggest for your prep ones, Brain Juice or Second Wind. I think that Firepower is going for critical shot just because their firepower is counterproductive in Juno's case, especially since she's more about crowd control and utility than raw power, so Brain Juice makes her crowd control more clutch and consistent. Second Wind will actually combo really good with Riot Shield and Lay Down the Law, keeping her alive far longer when she needs it the most. Dash ones, dash catalysts, I'll go Shift or Regroup. Shift over Fade personally, as covering more ground for Juno is important because of the lack of her mobility, and Regroup because it has really great flexibility to go frontline or backline. Blast catalysts, the only thing I would not instantly pick is Echo Boost. Everything else I feel syncs much better with Juno. And personally, my own thoughts, I really enjoy Juno even though my video footage shows that I'm horrible and rusty. While she's not as bursty as Zuki or Lockwood, I keep stressing this fact, she actually is a great support backliner. If you have supports like Dr. Finn or Torque on your team, she really combos well with them. And like I said, mobility is going to be your biggest issue, as well as your carelessness, as well as your ult, because it'll make you a giant lightning rod for people. And unfortunately, any map that has a lot of cover and nooks and crannies, you're going to have a hard time with, because they're just going to play peekaboo around corners and make it hard for you to hit your main 2 abilities that deal damage. While she might not be as high priority as other freelancers, I personally feel Juno's a really good counter pick to a lot of the Dash Happy teams to slow down their tempo and also counter some heavy melee comps. So much of her damage relies on line of sight though, so keep that in mind. As well as coordinate your own personal shields and heals along with your team heals and team shields. That way when you want to just go full blast and lay down a whole bunch of damage over the course of 2, 3, 4 turns, you know, you're just going to be unstoppable. Okay, ladies and gents, I have a special surprise for you. We have several Meridian Citadel skins to give away to our viewers. Now, Jellybean, how can they get their hands on one of them?
You can win one by leaving a comment in the
Doobly-doo.
doobly-doo, and we will put you in a drawing. When our next video appears, we will announce
And contact.
and contact the winners.
See, it's that simple. Leave a comment below and you're in the drawing. Any and all constructive criticism helps to make my videos better for you. So until then, see you next time. Peace. Wait, over there. Be like.